Cantus. Singing? Okay, let me try. Densuagio. Okay, that's just plain rude. In the world of Harry Potter, there are countless spells from charms to the dark arts. But which ones are the most powerful? What spells could I learn that would make even you-know-who quake in their boots? What spells would make me the greatest wizard of all time? Scoot over, Dumbledore, because I'm about to open up my muggle mind and take a look at some of the most powerful spells in the Harry Potter universe. So, you know who, right? Yes, I'm talking about Harry Potter's big bad Lord Voldemort, who you do not want to mess with. Why? Because of all the spells in his arsenal, which includes the last and most powerful of the unforgivable curses, Avada Kedavra. The last thing you'll see when this spell is cast is a green bolt of light and then, poof, you're gone without a trace, like you never even existed. Some of the most famous wizards, like Harry Potter's parents, Lily and James Potter, have fallen to this deadly spell. You're probably thinking, well, what spell could I use to counter that? Stop right there, because virtually there are none. You could use sacrificial protection, but that requires you sacrificing yourself, so are you really winning? The best thing you can do for yourself here is learn how to dodge. Or just don't go up against the Dark Lord. If wizards ever find themselves in a tight squeeze against another wizard, there is one spell that they need to know: Expelliarmus. This spell is a disarming charm that forces the user to drop whatever they're holding. Like someone's wand, you may ask? Yes. This is the key reason why this spell is so darn handy, because without a wand, a wizard becomes harmless. Why do you think Harry uses it so dang much? Did I mention that this is one of the only spells that stood up to Avada Kedavra? In the Deathly Hallows Part 2, Harry and Voldemort clash one last time. Avada Kedavra versus Expelliarmus. Now, in most cases, no, Expelliarmus would not beat the killing curse. It happened here because Voldemort's wand, or the Elder Wand, recognized Harry as its one true master and refused to hurt him. So the spell backfired towards Voldemort, ending the battle once and for all. Don't you ever just want to read the minds of people around you? With Legilimency, you can do just that, and then some. You see, this spell allows its user to enter the minds of others and read their thoughts, emotions, experience their memories, or even place realistic visions in their heads. Did I mention that with enough skill, this can be done non-verbally and wandless? One of the most talented Legilimens was Lord Voldemort, who had used this spell on Harry to try to take over his body. He forced Harry to see visions and nearly sent him into madness. However, Voldemort couldn't take the heat, or the love in this case, causing the spell to fail. Overall, you shouldn't have to worry too much about this spell being used against you. Due to privacy issues, this spell isn't regularly taught at Hogwarts, but if you run into a Legilimens, you better run. I could imagine the worst feeling a wizard could ever feel is using a spell and not realizing how much damage it can do. Enter Sectium Sempra, a curse-type spell created by Severus Snape when he was a student at Hogwarts. This spell acts more like a sword, deeply cutting its target in multiple places. If these wounds are not treated immediately, well... Now, this spell isn't the spell that made Dumbledore take his last dance, but it was almost the case for Draco Malfoy. Remember how I said the worst feeling would be using a spell and not realizing how much damage it can do? Well, Harry did exactly that in the Half-Blood Prince. He used Sectium Sempra against Malfoy in a duel, and let me tell ya, when Harry turned the corner, you did not need Legilimency to know what he was feeling. Take extra caution before using this spell. Probably one of the most popular spells in the Harry Potter universe, and my personal favorite, Expecto
Patronum!
It's a defensive charm used against dark magic, like against those creepy Dementors. As said by Professor Lupus, a patronus is a kind of positive force, a projection of the very things that the Dementor feeds upon: hope, happiness, the desire to survive. But it cannot feel despair, as real humans can, so the Dementors can't hurt it. What makes this spell so special is that it adapts based on the user. Acting as a guardian, this spell takes the shape of an animal or magical creature, kinda like what we muggles call spirit animals. What's your patronus? Mine's a basset hound, which means I have a friendly personality and I'm extremely devoted to my friends. I was surprised how accurate mine was. Let me know yours in the comments. Out of all the spells, Fiend Fire is probably the most terrifying and one of the most powerful. It can destroy a Horcrux after all, which are immune to most magic. Fiend Fire is a spell that creates a powerful fire capable of destroying anything in its path. And fun fact, water or even enchanted water won't put these flames out. Even the caster would struggle to stop the flames because that's just how out of control they are. Or in control they are. You see, these flames are alive, almost sentient with a desire to burn anything it can, especially anything living. If that wasn't bad enough, sometimes these shapeless flames will take the form of monsters and beasts such as snakes, eagles, dragons, chimeras, or a combination of them all with only one goal in mind: to hunt. If you're ever caught in these beastly flames, the best thing you can do is get out ASAP. How many times have you realized you've forgotten your wallet at home? Don't you wish there was something you could say that would make that item magically appear? Accio, or the summoning charm, allows its users to summon objects at will, regardless of distance and if the object is in sight or not. There are a few things to remember before using this spell. 1. Make sure that you have a clear idea in your mind of what you're trying to summon. 2. Make sure you actually know where this item is. This spell will not find the lost remote stuck between the couch cushions. Believe me, because I tried. 3. This spell must be said along with the item you are summoning. 4. Only physical objects can be summoned. Lastly, don't use this spell on a person. Things summoned are traveling at light speed. I don't think anybody is going to feel good after that. So, now you're asking, okay, if I can't use Accio to bring someone to me, how can I travel to them as fast as possible? You would want to use Apparition. This spell, which can be used without a wand by advanced wizards, is the fastest way to travel in the wizarding world. The user can travel instantly from one location to another without traveling the distance in between. All you gotta do is focus on where you want to go, disappear, and then reappear in your desired location. Easy, right? But be ready to deal with apparition sickness. According to Dumbledore, most vomited after their first time. After Harry's first time, he described it as an immense amount of pressure coming from all directions. Not being able to breathe and some other things that sound oh so painful and uncomfortable. Maybe I'll just stick to my broom like everybody else. Freeze. Unfreeze. Freeze. Oh, I love this spell. Petrificus Totalis is a curse-type spell that causes the target's body to freeze. The arms and legs will slap together, kinda like you'd see if you saw a mummy, and the body will thud to the ground. However, the person will still be able to hear, think, feel, and see. Only straightforward though, so make sure there's something pleasant to look at. This spell is taught to most, if not all, inexperienced wizards, and is crucial for any duel you may come across. For example, Neville Longbottom was hit with this spell in the Philosopher's Stone, trying to stop Hermione and the gang from sneaking on out. Who said someone can't learn from their mistakes? Because Neville used this exact spell to save his butt against a Death Eater in the Order of the Phoenix. This spell is the perfect get-out-of-danger free card. Another one of the unforgivable curses, Crucio, or the Cruciatus Curse, is something you do not want to mess with. By stimulating the pain receptors in one's body, this spell causes its targets to experience excruciating pain, to the point that it could drive someone mad. Why would anybody want to use this spell when it causes so much pain? Well, if you're Voldemort, inflicting pain is basically your middle name. But sometimes, this spell has been used to try and gather information. Once, Dolores Umbridge threatened to use this curse on Harry, as she believed that Harry and his friends were part of a conspiracy to overthrow the Ministry of Magic. Good thing she didn't though, because the punishment for using the Cruciatus Curse, or any of the unforgivable curses, is a life sentence in Azkaban. The only way around that is if the user was influenced by the Imperious Curse, and speaking of which, the third of the unforgivable curses, Imperio, is used for mind control or hypnosis. If cast successfully, the victim will be put into a calm trance-like state. The feeling of responsibility and anxiety will be wiped away, leaving the victim with a feeling of untraceable happiness. It sounds kinda great, but the victim will be completely under the control of the caster to do whatever the caster pleases. For example, crimes. Man, what a trade-off. Also, once the spell is lifted and you return to normal, any pain that was negated by the curse, along with any pain suffered while under the curse, will return. Again, what a trade-off. However, unlike Avada Kedavra and Crucio, this curse can be countered by someone who has exceptional strength and a strong will. Somebody like Harry Potter, who did so after building up some resistance to the curse's effects. Regardless, this is not a spell to play around with. What was it I was doing? Oh, yeah, that's right. I was talking about the most powerful spells in Harry Potter. I guess I was hit with Confundo, or the Confundus Charm. This is a spell that confuses its target. Sounds harmless enough, but there's a catch. There are varying degrees at which this spell can confuse its target to the point that the victim can become a danger to themselves. In the film Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Snape told Harry, Ron, and Hermione that they were under the effects of confundo by one Sirius Black. He made them believe that he was innocent, which wasn't at all true. Apparently, Ron used this spell once to pass his driving test. Even Hermione used the spell on Cormac McLaggen to help Ron keep his spot on the Quidditch team. If you had the chance, what would you use this spell for? Have you ever felt like somebody's watching you, but when you turn and look, nobody's there? Classic horror movie stuff, but in the world of Harry Potter, I'm sure this happens all the time, with invisibility cloaks and all. But there's a spell out there just for this kind of situation called Homonym Revellio. This spell can alert the caster of any human presence in their surrounding environment. In the case someone is watching you, it's indicated by a swooping motion underneath them. For example, Dumbledore used this spell to detect the presence of Harry and Ron, who were under an invisibility cloak. Now, he didn't know who exactly was under the cloak because this spell doesn't reveal identities, but he was not to be snuck up on. So if you're ever in any kind of horror movie situation, it's probably a good idea to use this spell. You know, just in case. Boom! That's all you're going to hear after this next spell's used. Bombarded Maximus, the strongest version of the exploding charm, is a spell that creates large and violent explosions. For example, Dolores Umbridge, yes, her again, used this spell to take down an entire wall to see what Harry and the gang were up to. Talk about an invasion of privacy. Better not have your bedroom door closed ever again because Mama's coming in! I couldn't imagine if every wizard had this spell in their arsenal. Actually, that's a good question. Why didn't more wizards use this spell? I feel like it would have been mighty handy during the Second Wizarding War. You could quickly take out the other side and move on with their lives. That's what I would do, but that's probably why I'm not a wizard. What would you do? Would you use this spell or take a different approach? Who here loves Roman mythology? According to the legend of Medusa, one look into her eyes would turn you to stone. Well, move over, Medusa, because I'm gonna do that with just one word. Duro. Taught to third years in Transfiguration class, this spell is a hardening spell that turns any object to stone. Most inexperienced wizards and witches use this spell to have a little fun, like turning an apple to stone right as someone is about to bite into it. I don't recommend using this on your teachers, but it has some great other uses too. For example, in the Deathly Hallows, where this spell made its first appearance, Hermione, Ron, and Harry were being chased by Death Eaters. In order to escape, they turned a tapestry into stone, which then the Eaters ran into. Useful, right? But I wonder if there's a spell to turn things back. Those tapestries were not cheap. If you could erase any embarrassing moment from someone's memory, what would it be? Let me know, but with the spell Obliviate, that exact thing can be done. This memory charm is a spell that can permanently erase specific memories from a person's mind. Hermione once used it on her own parents to make them forget they had a daughter. Crazy, right? However, if done incorrectly, this spell can cause some lasting damage. In the Chamber of Secrets, Gilderoy Lockhart tried to use this spell to erase the minds of Harry Potter and Ron Weasley. However, the wand he used was Ron's broken hand-me-down wand, causing the spell to backfire and erase his own mind, causing lasting and extreme amnesia. To this very day, Lockhart's memories haven't returned, and his ability to function in society isn't so much there. Maybe be a little bit more careful next time, Lockhart. Just a little bit more careful. Wingardium Leviosa. You're saying it wrong. It's pronounced Leviosa, not While becoming the butt of so many jokes since its original appearance in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Wingardium Leviosa is one of the most useful spells a wizard can have in their arsenal. This spell gives the caster the ability to levitate and control objects as they float through the air. Also, this spell can lift more than just feathers. It can defy gravity. This spell gives the caster the ability to lift objects that a normal human would not be able to carry. For example, in the same film, Ron overcomes his poor pronunciation skills and uses the spell to lift a troll's club. He then bonks it over the head of a troll, terrorizing the school. You can imagine how heavy that is. So if you ever see a floating car drifting your way, you probably know why. Also run. If you ever have to speak in front of a crowd, imagine everyone in their underwear? I think what they meant to say is to use the spell Ridiculous. Is a charm-type spell that is used in defense of a boggart. which is a creature with the ability to shapeshift into one's greatest fear. Why is ridiculous the perfect counter? Because it transforms that fear into something comical, creating the ultimate weapon: laughter. That's right, a boggart's weakness is a good old-fashioned chuckle fest, so make sure whatever you turn a boggart into, you find absolutely hilarious. Like a giant spider slipping, sliding, and rolling around on skates. That scene still gives me a good laugh. Oh, a question just for you. What's your worst fear? Let me know. And then let me know how that fear would transform after using this spell. Taught to all of Dumbledore's army by Harry Potter himself, Stupefy, or the stunning spell, renders its target unconscious. Because of that, it is a crucial dueling spell for wizards and witches to learn. For example, the only reason why this little army made it out of the fight against the Death Eaters in the Department of Mysteries was because of this spell. Did I mention that this spell can also stop moving objects? Like Petrificus Totalis, this spell is another get-out-of-trouble-free card if you can make contact. Also, the good news is this spell doesn't cause any lasting damage, so you don't even have to worry about hurting anybody. If this is between you and me, I would go ahead and tag Stupefy and Petrificus Totalis together. Freeze them and knock them out. No need to have them plotting while I make my getaway. Known as the Blasting Curse, Confundo is a spell that causes its target to explode. If that's not enough, upon contact, flames ignite. So if the explosion doesn't get you, the flames will. A time we see this spell used is in the Deathly Hallows Part 1, when Hermione uses this spell in a last-ditch effort to try and stop Nagini, Voldemort's snake, and final Horcrux. Just from that information alone, we know as the spell failed to put an end to her, but it was enough to allow Harry and Hermione to escape. Despite the danger, this spell is commonly used in duels, and with caution I may add. Because if used incorrectly, well then, if Nagini can survive, I can't imagine what a full force attack would do to you. Well, those are some of the most powerful spells in Harry Potter. Do you agree, or did we miss any? Let us know down in the comments below, and make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more videos from us here at CBR.